Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, first question. Am I on my own Instagram?
Yes, you are. Is
Okay.
this supposed?
Because there's so many accounts on one profile, and I was like thinking, did I just go onto the right one? So,
Is it supposed to be like that?
yes.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah. So,
Hi.
yeah, I wanted to use my personal account to, reach out to the rest of the people to let them know about Gen Conference. So
Yes.
CrossVersations were this podcast name was started by Melvin.
Hi,
Of course
Melvin.
not. I mean, Melvin Ung is creative, but Melvin Lim is also creative, and Melvin Lim
Oh,
is the
okay.
creative director for Gen
Okay.
Conference, and he started the podcast. So this is our third episode. We had Isaac on for the first one.
I
That's our
saw.
debut. Yeah,
I
and
was like,
then
wow.
we have JR. JR is a youth leader in a church in Indonesia,
Wow.
and he studied psychology, graduated with a Bachelor of Psychology, and so he was in the second episode. And today you're the third person, a legend, pastoring
What?
creatives.
I'm
Yeah,
like, huh? When I saw Isaac Ong, I was like, huh? Why am I on this thing?
because
What?
you're gifted and anointed too.
Aw, Cyril.
Yeah, you are.
I'm honored. I'm honored to be here, and of course, like I've heard a lot about Gen Conference, and I've heard from you, and I've heard from Melvin, I've heard from other people, and yeah, I think it's amazing what you're doing. You really live out your life bravely and boldly for the Lord. I think that's incredible. So yeah, exciting.
Thank you. So before we get into the really thought-provoking questions,
Okay.
I'm just going to put you in the hot seat for a minute.
I see.
I do that to everyone who comes on this Crossversation series, this pilot series, and so I hope you're ready. All right.
Okay.
I don't usually have a timer, but they are considered speed rounds, so to speak. So no thinking and pondering.
Okay.
When the question is asked, your answer should be the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do my
You
best.
ready?
Yes. Sounds
All right.
fun.
You have both English and Singaporean blood. Which country do you resonate with more and would call home, UK or Singapore?
Okay. Resonate more with UK. Call home Singapore.
Wow. Okay. What a smart answer. All right. Do you call it fries? Do you call fries chips or fries?
Fries.
Okay. Cool. Biscuits or cookies?
Biscuits.
Tomato or tomato?
Tomato.
Your morning go-to, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Oh, with soy milk or almond milk?
Almond milk.
Ah.
Always almond milk.
Knew it. If you weren't a pastor or staff in church, what would you have done as a full-time job?
Wow. Okay. I actually was thinking of being a teacher.
Really?
Yeah. I really wanted to be a teacher. I even applied for the scholarships and everything. I really wanted to teach.
Nice.
So that would be the most, I suppose, real answer. But now when I think about it, I know okay, so what if I did another life? Then I will usually say maybe I'll go and travel and be a poet and live in France and eat croissants and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, talking about poet, we're coming to that question. All right, last question. Netflix or Disney Plus?
Oh, Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have Disney Plus.
Is there a reason why?
I don't know. I wasn't really sure exactly what Disney Plus was offering besides Marvel. Oops. Sorry.
And Mulan.
And Mulan. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Netflix had a lot.
Oh, I don't really have time to go to the movies, and then so someone's saying that if you're Disney Plus, which is not available in Singapore yet, you actually get to watch Mulan for free.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Did not know that. Wow.
I didn't know that
Okay.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your friend told me. All right, you
I want to
pass
watch
that
I
hot
want to watch the
6 minute
Marvel one, the one
Marvel.
with oh, what's it called? Vision and Wanda. That's the thing that I wanted to get Disney Plus for.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah. They
heard
are
that
doing this.
before. Is it
Yeah.
nice?
It looks cool. It looks cool. It's like they go back in time or go forward in time or something, and yeah.
Right,
But
right. Yeah, awesome. You're done with the questions, by the way. So we're going to the more thought-provoking questions.
I thought the very first question was the most thought provoking. I was like, oh no, what am I gonna say to that? Like,
Yeah. Sorry, that's my dog. It's
oh,
recording now.
it's cool. It's cool.
Cool. She's
Hi.
back. All right. Let's go for the more thought-provoking questions. First one is, as someone who pastor creatives,
Yes.
creative people, what's your personal definition, conviction, or even revelation around creativity? And feel free to quote quotes from creative leaders who spearhead industries outside church.
Cool. Okay. I think like the interesting thing about my own creative journey, right, is that I actually never considered myself creative. So I think it was like back in I don't know when, right? When we were all doing the cultural mandate and we all wore like Ed Hardy, this kind of clothes, right? And
Yeah.
like everything was like about being really creative. You know, there were the events were really creative, they were really exciting, colorful, and I felt like this super square person because I you know I'm pretty much a nerd lah. Like I read Harry Potter growing up, that kind of thing. So
Nice.
so when I was a cell group leader, so I very very much like I want to be creative, you know, I really need to capture the youth, you know, I want to be cool and exciting and everything. So I prayed this prayer, like, God, please make me creative. And I think it's really cool because like we have come full circle, right? Because now I think people would say that I'm very creative, and I definitely have the chance to hang out with a lot of creative people, whether it's it like Emerge, Instagram, whether it's you, you know, I consider you one of my most creative people that I know. And
Oh,
even my
thank
zone, they
you.
say like, yeah, when they talk about zone, they always say like, your zone is like full of creative people. So I
Wow.
think that we are all creative because the truth is we are all created beings, right? We are created. And we say that you are like that which creates you, or you like who creates you. And obviously God is a creator and God created us. And so when he breathed into us, we cannot not be creative because that is who he is. And I think like when we come to this world, we don't just come to this world to survive or, you know, to make a living, but we come to this world to create and to, you know, do beautiful things together. And even you say the word create a life, right? So it's not just about you know, like artsy stuff. You know, I think that's a misconception, right? It's about artsy stuff, but like writing or like songs or like poetry or like drawings. But no, creative is about living your life, I think, with intention and like with a passion. You know, you want to create the kind of life that you envision in your mind. And I think that's being very like God. I feel like when people are creative, right, even if they are not Christian or you know they're not the believers, there is a part of them that taps into that aspect of God, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean mothers, right, when they take care of their children, they are being creative. They are creating a kind of experience for them. So
So good.
I think we are all creative. I think that when we go through school and work and you know we're exposed to society, we are given certain structures that show us like this is how a good person is, this is how a successful person is. I mean even church, right? And because we're young and we're impressionable, sometimes we can see that and be like, okay, I just need to follow, and I think that is when creativity kind of gets squashed out of us, or we don't feel the permission to be creative. But that's not true. Like we can all be creative in everything that we do in
Yeah.
our daily life and where we run, you know, whatever we're doing, like there is a creative aspect, and we just need to awaken that and be open to that. Yeah.
100%. So good. Basically, you're like, whatever you just said, it's like we're going to touch on tonight.
Oh.
So literally, yeah, I prepare all the questions because I'm not a very natural host. So
I
I'm
can't
like,
tell.
right in front of me. So like as you share, I'm like thinking, okay, what's the next question? What should I say? And so it's I feel like it's flowing nicely. So the next question actually is,
Yes.
what do you find enjoyable and what do you find challenging when pastoring creatives?
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay, what I find enjoyable is I think creatives are fun, you know? So like you say, you're not a natural host, but you're so good. Like it's just having a conversation with you. I was just gonna say like it's like we're at a coffee place, right? And like creatives are fun. Like they're fun to be with. They always have fun ideas to talk about. You know, they see the world in a unique way, and it's just fun to talk about like how they see things and how they. I think creativity is like innovation, right? So when you talk to a creative person, you get a lot of like uh they want to change the world, they want to change the way things are, they want to change like situations and stuff. So it can be a very fun and like exciting conversation. So I think that's the most the part that I love the most, just being around that kind of like energy. You know, there's always something new, there's always a new song, you know, there's always a new idea, there's always something new that they want to do. Yeah, it's fun, it's exciting the way they see the world. I think creatives are also pretty relevant. Like those that identify themselves as creative, they would be very on top of trends.
Right.
So recently, we have a TikTok account that I started. So like, I've been
Oh,
talking to
nice.
to some creatives about TikTok. So they are very on top of trends. You know, like, oh, this is how TikTok works and all that. And yeah, it makes the world fresh, right? Like exciting, like wow, there's another aspect of like humanity that we haven't explored. Okay, I think the most challenging thing, interestingly, is also linked to that, because when you're creative, you want to change the world, so you can be very frustrated with the world, you know,
Right.
and you can be like creatives can bite off more than they can chew, right? Because they like, yeah, let's go for it. They haven't planned everything yet. And at times there can be an element, I think, of being critical about like the world. It comes from a good place, but I think that there's that like, hey, everything needs to change, you know. But yeah, we I guess there's that balance that we have to figure out, like how to honor, how to love, and how to add to the world.
Exactly.
But yeah, also remembering that they are special, you know, like I think you have to love creatives to pastor them. Like you have to
Right.
get them and understand them, and be willing to like realize that they too have this huge thing in them, this gift, right, that they are trying to steward.
Mm,
And it's not always the easiest, you know, because there's
yeah.
like a lot of like frustration that I gotta do something with it, right? But yeah, so yeah, I guess that's the challenging part. Yeah.
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 I think, like, I think I shared with you about the vision behind Gen Conference,
Mm.
and like when God introduced Himself as a creator in Genesis 1 verse 1, where He
Yeah.
says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Right, and so the root word for creatives and or creating is the word create. And
Yeah.
so or the root word for creativity is the word create. And so basically, uh, even as creators, we're not just creating for the sake of creating, but we're creating a solution for
Wow.
us, the society, for social issues,
Yeah.
for maybe issues like maybe the economy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like uh, a lot of times people think creativity should be only in the area of arts.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be,
Yeah. Absolutely.
especially when you share about pastoring creatives, because we're always trying to create something, and I believe we are always trying to create something or something better to solve something that to that is there for a long time. It could be an issue that we find it frustrating to deal with, and that's why we
Mm.
want to come up with a new solution for that.
Mm.
And so yeah, I realized that as I start to pastor more creatives, and but there's something that sometimes we miss, and that's the purpose behind creating.
Mm.
And as creators, we often are misunderstood and seen as rebels and misfits. And because of these labels, we subconsciously create because we want to prove a point
Yeah.
or justify all the misunderstandings about us or in our creative expressions through graphics, through painting, music, poetry, and the other mediums. We crave for a certain attention because we've been rejected countless times, right? And so, because
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we're having it honest and raw.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
real
It's
talk.
good.
So,
Yeah, it's good.
in a way, how do you champion creatives to stay down to earth, not like just humility, but you know, sometimes because you mentioned like we're always thinking out of the box, out as well. So how do you champion them to stay down to earth, relatable, yet stick it out in a sense, not try to fit into the mold that the society has created for them, so that they become more frustrated because they're put in a box. But how do you champion them in the sense that stay creative, but at the same time down to earth?
Yeah, I love what you said about rebel without a cause, right? And I think that's the important thing, is that we have to remember, yeah, we can be a rebel, but we have a cause. Like I think, I think if we just rebels without a cause, then it becomes like the thing that's making us frustrated, right, becomes our sole identity. Then we're not doing any good anyway. Then so what that we see the world a different way? So what, that we are so passionate about this certain thing, if we are not actually using that passion and using that zeal to do something purposeful. So like I think the passion that creatives have is so powerful. Like the passion sometimes comes out as anger, sometimes comes out as frustration, sometimes comes out as like, worry or like, stress, anxiety, but it's so powerful because it's energy, right? And you need energy to make a change. So I think it's really about getting creatives to realize that, hey, your passion, your anger, your intensity is not from a bad place, but how are you gonna utilize it and use it to express something? And then if you want to express, right, it's a solution or it's a connection, with somebody. It brings understanding, or in our case, a lot of time it's about sharing about Jesus, right? Sharing about His love and all that. So I think how do you to stay down to earth? For me, it comes a lot from saying, like, first of all, you as a creative, how is your heart? Know that you are seen, you are heard, know that you have a place here, know that you belong, know that that God put you here for a purpose, and He made you with all these like passions and quirks for a reason. So stay connected to God, stay connected to that, stay connected to family that understand you and know you and love you, and remember that people are not the enemy. Like actually the frustrations that you have, you're really wanting to serve the very people that frustrate you, right? Because you want to help them, to see the world differently. You want to help open their eyes. You want to help to make the world a better place. So they are not the enemy. And the actual fact is that, like I said, all of us are creative. All of us are special. All of us are unique. That's how God made us. So I think for me, even in my own journey as a creative, I found a lot of healing from like actually connecting with people that I thought were not creative or were not like me. And when I connected with them, and when I had like conversations with them, even those that were like really scary to me, or like, just really like maybe I would have thought they're very square, right? But when I connected with them and when I heard their heart, I realized, hey, they are also creative. Hey, they are also passionate. We are not the enemy. We are here to connect with one another. And if we can break down those walls, then I don't know, then God's love can flow, and then we can create even better things together, because that's what we are here for, right? We all need each other. So I think that's what helped me a lot. But of course, I feel like it's a journey that everyone has to take to get there. So for me, when I have creatives and, when they have their frustrations or their worries, or maybe even their discipleship moments, right? I just kind of like journey with them through it, encourage them to express. If there's something you're angry about, express it, draw it out, paint it out, sing it out. Use that energy, and then come to the Lord and ask Him, like, what are you showing me in this situation, and how can I glorify you through this pain, or through this rejection, or through this misunderstanding? How can I come through it, experience your healing through it, and glorify God and help others. Yeah,
so good. Yeah. And I think in a way, when you mention like what you just mentioned, is like you're telling creatives to communicate better. Because if we look at a scientific or medical research. Like there are a lot of these kind of researchers out there. The brain is actually split into two dominants.
Yeah.
The left brain is the logical dominance, and the right brain is the creative dominance. And so it shows that there is a need for balance. This is what I was like discovering while I was preparing the script. Like that creativity without logicality, as in discipline or purpose, is dangerous.
Yeah.
Whereas logicality without creativity is boring. You
know? Yeah.
So, so in a sense, how do you like for yourself, like, because you say you don't feel like you're creative, but I think recently you started a space, if I may, a creative space on Instagram to be unfiltered and raw, and express it about your thoughts and struggles with true writing and poetry. And what you express in that space is very relatable, especially to the unchurched. And because you don't use churchy terms, and so like people can relate to that. And so for people like me, or maybe like us, who grew up in church and our lives and activities were revolving around church always, which means sometimes we have little to no interactions with the unchurched, which is why sometimes maybe for me personally, I find it difficult to hold up a conversation or even relate to certain live experiences when the unchurched community actually share. And that's why I feel like, why do you, in a sense, what gave you the inspiration, or what, in a sense, motivated you to start this space? Maybe it could be connecting with the unchurched, I don't know, but I think I've been hearing stuff about this creative space that you have, about your writing and poetry. It relates better in a sense because Jesus, his passion, or rather his goal, was to bring the kingdom of heaven to the people, and he used parables in a way to actually talk about God, but yet he was able to relate, or the people, the unchurched community was able to relate to him, and because he spoke in parables like things that is tangible in a sense, like life experiences. And so what you're doing, this creative space you started on your IG, it's amazing. It's actually what Jesus did, in the New Testament. And so just you want to share it.
I love this about you, Cyril. Like, it's like everything, you're this like creative person, and which you are, and like this like singer and all that. But actually, you are always passionate about the lost. Like, I can't believe that like a creative conversation came here, and I'm just like, wow, this is just so cool. This is what I love about you. Okay. For me, this poetry account, okay, people have prophesied over my life like multiple times that I should write. But I think that I was always kind of like too busy, or like, okay, the excuse that I gave myself was that I was too busy. But I think that the real reason was a lot about like being blocked, and like you said, the being very involved in like a certain kind of life, a certain kind of like doing things, purposeful things, important things. But yeah, not sort of having the courage to just put myself out there, like this other version of myself.
Right.
But I've always loved poetry. I've always loved like literature. I did literature in school and everything. And it was interesting because I didn't think about all these things that you said just now. Like, I just like, okay, it's circuit breaker. I need to do something purposeful in my life. Like, what am I doing this year? Besides Zoom meetings, let me just finally start writing. So I started the account, right? Very like awkwardly and stressed out and being like, so embarrassing. My poems are so emo.
It's been good so far, really. It's not even embarrassing.
I am an emo poet. But yeah, so it's really cool because before, I think last year, I was actually exploring the idea of how art not necessarily poetry, but all different kinds of art are very healing for people, both in church and outside church, right? As humans, we watch, we watch a movie and then we cry, right? And we can feel better about our life, or maybe we watch a play and we identify with the character in the play, and somehow the character's voice manages to speak out all the hidden things that were stuck or that were blocked in us, and we experience kind of like a catharsis or like a letting go of the pain that we had felt. And it's a very soul thing. So while spiritual is so important, I definitely believe we need the spiritual experiences, we need the word, but I also feel like sometimes we can need a little bit of like emotional healing as well in order to be freer in our life. And I feel like through art, a song, a play, a movie, right? You can tap onto that person's emotions, their bravery to speak out about pain, about depression, about anxiety, and you can feel like, I can understand, I can connect, and I can let go of my own pain. So that was like in my mind last year, and then I did the poetry account. I didn't realize that actually that was what I was able to do. So I'm very encouraged today by what you're sharing. But yeah, I think because it's like it's a new thing that I'm doing. I just went for it. I didn't want to be proper. I didn't want every poem to be a sermon. I wanted it to be an expression of art, of life, of my feelings, of how a lot of the poetry I wrote like maybe years ago, things that I went through, and it helped me writing it. And I'm touched that it encourages people. I think emotions. The thing about emotions, especially when you're feeling it very deeply, is that you just need to feel it. Like we can be very used to squashing it, right? We can be very used to squashing it, or we can be very used to adding on I should. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I still here? Okay.
Yeah, you hear.
So we can be very used to adding on I should feel. For example, I could be like, I'm so nervous today, I'm so nervous doing this Instagram live, but I shouldn't be nervous, because God is with me,
Right.
I shouldn't be anxious, it's not a Christian thing to be nervous. Anyway, it's about glorifying God, not about me, Then it was like my brain would just be like, and it's okay to just say I'm nervous, I'm nervous.
Right.
I want to do a good job, I want to like be able to share things that are real, and I don't want to be fake. It's okay to just let your emotions feel and just be. And I think that to me is what poetry is a space to just be raw, to just let your emotions out, and just let it go. And I don't know, the Bible says cast all your cares on him, right? So just let it go, just trust that it's okay to feel, to release, to be who you are in this moment.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you said just a quick thing. You said about when we meet unchurched people, and how do we talk to them and have a normal conversation. I think like it's such a good thought. Because we all know that Jesus ate with sinners, right?
Yeah.
We all know that he ate with tax collectors. We all know that he did not kind of like approve of certain of the Pharisees, the way they were treating one another, etc. But yet it's kind of a tension that we live in, because the more we are committed to church and the church life and the Christian communities, the more churchy we become, and the more close we are to that network of friends. And yet it does sometimes isolate us from the world outside, right? And I think it's the tension that we need to live in. I think that there might not be a simple solution. Like, I don't think there is a just be more loving, or just be more I don't know, just be more open-minded. I don't think it works like that. But I think it's the awareness that there are people that live in a very different world from us. They have very different life, but it's okay, and they are a certain space in their journey, and we're just thankful that like we can be in that space. And I also think it's totally okay to be like, hey, I don't understand your experience. Would you explain it to me? I feel kind of awkward now. I don't know what to say. I think it's totally okay to just ask questions and to just acknowledge that we are learning how to relate to them, even as maybe they are learning how to relate to us and to our world and to what we understand about God. So I think asking questions is always great. Like
Yeah.
I found that like when I just ask questions like what does that mean, or like how do you feel about this issue, then I'll get good answers. And I remember I just remind myself that even if the answer is shocking, you know, I can look a bit shocked, but I should not go like what you know, but I should just like, hey, wow, that's different. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wait for my chance to maybe share about God, or maybe share about my experience, you know, that not everything has to be said, you know, in the first like 5 minutes. I can
Right.
wait for my chance to share my experience and my understanding of God. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So good. And the reason why I brought that up is because as Jen as a platform it's a Christian based creative platform,
Mm.
but also reaching out, the direction or the vision behind Jen is to reach out to the unchurched creative community. And so I love what you shared, because the thing is that if as a platform, as a organization or a ministry who doesn't know how to weave um, the kingdom of God and the things of the world, and I'm not saying that we be off the world, but in the world.
Mm.
And if we don't know how to weave these things into the world to build the kingdom of God here, is we're always going to be that, maybe that 20% of the entire other spheres. And if
Yeah.
we as believers, with this creative function, because like you said, when God breathed life into us, we're made in the image of God, the imago Dei.
Yeah.
And so we take on the characteristics of the creativity of who God is. And therefore, how God is, like, when he first introduced himself, when you introduce yourself to any community, you always introduce an important part of who you are.
Wow. Mm.
And so when God said that, hey, in the beginning I created the heavens and the earth, he's saying that I am the creator, I'm the source of creativity. And so you who are made in my image carry this character, this
Wow.
element of who God is. And how do we reach out to the rest of the world? And
Mm.
not, like you said, mention, like, but sometimes with our certain lifestyle, a purposeful lifestyle, we tend to somehow accidentally, subconsciously, whatever, isolate ourselves from that 80% of that sphere of the world. And
Mm.
that's why this conference is actually a platform to reach out to the unchurched
Wow.
creative community. And
Cool.
so that's why, like, what you touched on tonight was so amazing, because in a sense, I'm also thinking about, like, 3 to 5 years time. This will be a question for you. With this global pandemic, it has landed churches, or has forced churches to enter into a digital space, like during church online, like conducting workshops over Zoom, or you have to find creative ways to get you to help your members stay connected, right? And producing more content is part of that journey. So since everyone is also working remotely online and everything is online, how do you foresee digital church in the next 3 to 5 years? Because you lead a team of creative, you pastor a team of creative. How do the creators who are seen as, like, I'm not as non-essential, become now essential to the digital church, or maybe the digital community? Because what if the new normal, nobody knows what the new normal would be like, but what if the new normal is we can only grow up in groups of 10? We can't even go out in a large group. And how are we going to communicate effectively as a creator? I know there's a big jump from what your creative space was into, like, a digital space, but I think it's necessary in a sense, because we want to be able to reach out to a community that is unreachable, in the sense that I don't want to hear churchy terms. I want you to be real. I want you to tell me,
Yeah.
like, for example, if I go through a marriage crisis, how do you solve it when I'm not open to hear maybe about God yet? maybe the person's just not open to hearing it, and when maybe they hear it, like hear the name of Jesus, they hear the name of like Christianity, you know, God bubble, and they're just shut off. How do you carry that in a sense, that creativity to create solutions that bring God into the picture, but yet not, I force, you know, like the good news into this person. So like in a sense, the digital space, it's we're going into that. We're going into that new normal where digital church, digital things, what is going to connect people. So yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like, okay, the very first thing that I thought of was how I did a TikTok account, right?
Right.
And I saw this, but basically there's this thing where you're starting out learning something new, and but everything that you're exposed to is very high level already. So everything you're exposed to is about a level of excellence, but you are starting out. So there is something called, I can't remember what it's exactly called, but it's like there is a gap because you are very exposed to good quality content or good quality art, but yet you are a beginner, and hence it is it's really, really hard for you, and it's really, really discouraging. So I think the very first thing is like, if anyone feels like they have some creativity inside them and they want to use it, or maybe they are in like church work and they are trying to start something creative or trying to start something digital, the main thing is just to start. Like, don't be discouraged that everybody else is ahead of you. You just gotta start, because if you keep looking at everybody else, you will never start, because they're going to get better and better, right? So like for TikTok, like, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, I don't even know what TikTok is about. The other day I was having this conversation with one of my colleagues. They were like, how do you captivate their attention for more than 10 seconds? I said, I really have no idea, but we are just trying it out, you know, and not being afraid to try, right? I mean, like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I mean, you know, just give it a try, just give new things a try, explore. So I think for those that are like doing church work or not doing digital things and wanting to, I think now is the time to learn, now is the time to embrace, now is the time to grab just something and just, you know, just roll with it, just try it out. Have fun with it, right? I mean, creativity is and creative stuff is supposed to be fun, you know. I think TikTok is a great example of this, because it actually has like everything on it that you need to like edit a video. I sound like I'm here to advertise TikTok now. Okay, but it has everything you need to edit the video, so anyone can be a video editor. And it also has a healthy sense of like being willing to laugh at yourself, which I think is needed when you start something new creatively. You know, you need to be able to laugh at yourself. You need to be able to, you know, give things a go. So I think yeah, I think that could work. That's one thing that I think is a direction to go. I think for those that are currently doing creative work and are now realizing that, yeah, there is a huge pressure on you, right? Like before that, you were the quiet mouthpiece that now and then produces stuff, but now you are like right at the front, you know, doing the video, doing the graphic, you know, doing the hosting, doing everything is on you, right? I think you know, just step up to it, and this is the thing that you've been waiting for, right? This is your moment. In many ways, the younger crowd are better at this, and this is your moment. And while slightly older people like me are trying our best, you're not old. You have an edge, you know. Like I tell my like 20-something-year-olds, you know, you have an edge. You get it. And go for it. Like this is the moment to really shine and to really step forth, and to not like rest on your current laurels, like, hey, this works, I'll just stick with that. But no, keep exploring, keep creating. You know, what will the church look like in 5 to 7 years? I have got no idea. I don't even know what church will look like end of the year, man. But we need to keep creating and keep innovating and just keep going with it, and trusting that God is in the midst of it. I love what A.R. Bernard said. He said that God uses these opportunities to squeeze the creativity out of us. And the idea is that things were lying dormant for a long time, and we were just, you know, maybe we didn't feel the need to grow in this area, but now we do, and that's beautiful. I mean, you see even like 80-year-old uncles and aunties, right, learning Zoom. And if you can adapt at that age, you know, what about the rest of us, right? I
Right.
mean, every one of us can do it, and I think it's just that willingness to realize you need to change, to learn, to grow. The world is moving fast, but it's exciting. Like, change is exciting, right? Change is new and fresh and exciting. um, yeah, and just trust in the, like, the core values that have kept you here. So the other question you asked was like, how do we reach out to non-Christians or unchurched world, right, without like squashing the gospel? And I think it's linked. When I see you, Cyril, you know, I don't have like Christian Cyril and like non-Christian Cyril, you know. And today you switch this light on, and you are just you. You know, you are a follower of God. You are a creative person. You are passionate about the lost, passionate about change, passionate about the world. You know, so this is you. So if you reach out to a person, yeah, you might not need to say the church lingo. You might not need to quote a verse, but if I was in trouble and I needed help, if I came to you, I can trust that I would get some form of godly counsel, because
Right.
that's who you are, right? And
Right.
that's what I do as well when I meet people from, you know, different walks of life. Maybe some of them are a little less refined, or maybe I don't know the word, a bit controversial, okay? And yeah, now and then do I have moments where they say certain things and I feel like, you know, what do I say? I want to represent God, but I don't want to scare them off. So I just take that moment, I just pause, and I drink my drink, and I ask the Holy Spirit, you know, like, what should I say? You know, like, what should I say now? Like, and I just go with that. And because I got to trust in myself, right? I got to trust.
Right.
All these years I've been in church, all these years I've been worshiping the Lord, and and I and I have to insert a verse in order to be a Christian. You know, I I'm not saying that you cannot insert a verse, you know, if it comes up, right? And there has been times where we have had such a flow, right, in our convo, that I have took out a worship song and like recommended it to the person. And then
Wow.
months
That's
later,
awesome.
like, yeah, then like a few weeks later, the person will be like, I was listening to that song that you listened to, and I have another song to recommend to you. You
Wow.
know? Yeah, so it's not like it can't happen, but yeah, I don't want to scare the person off, I guess. That's my style. I don't want to give them a moment to feel like I'm here to judge them. I don't want that. So yeah, so that's what I think is how we can reach the unchurched authentically. But also not worrying too much, because they also know we are from church,
Right.
right? They also know. I mean, if they see our Instagram, they know we're from church, right? So I also trust that, hey, they talking to me, talking to us is also in certain openness to have a certain kind of conversation,
Right.
and maybe they just want me to prove them right, you know, like yeah,
Mm.
that there is a way to love God and still be real. There is a way to love God, follow God, and be committed, and still struggle. You know, we still struggle sometimes, and that's okay. Like, there's still a space for you in this community, even if you are still struggling. Yeah,
So good.
yeah.
So we touched on the reaching out.
Mm,
So two more questions. The
mm.
next
Wow.
one is reaching in.
Okay.
So you know how like creators, every time you said, "Oh, I believe in you," but then when it comes to like that moment of opportunity, you hear maybe your leaders or your bosses say to you, "You're not ready," and many times they don't. Honestly, I really dislike this churchy term, and I think it's something that if you're comfortable sharing around, um, I think we should just burst this bubble and let's like in a sense share our thoughts around it. Like for me personally, I feel like when you say you believe in someone and you say like you're not ready, and especially when you just said you're not ready and you don't explain what in which area you're not ready, I feel like sometimes a lot of creatives start to look for um, in a sense opportunities elsewhere to really venture out and in a sense take on the calling that God has for them, because like in the church for example, we are church. We should be a church where we are a safe space. Number one. Number two, is a place of opportunity for our creatives to express themselves. And so when you just say things like you're not ready, like, and without a context on like which area, and like even sometimes when someone says you're not ready, it comes to a point where you're not ready to even be molded. Like, how is that even possible? Like for me, I feel, you know, in a sense that when we tackle this area, when I say I believe in you and I want to give that opportunity to that person, even when the person is not ready. Because like, if let's say you go to a war, you can be prepared for a war, but how much can you prepare to make yourself ready for your enemy? It's impossible, because you will never be able to know fully what your enemy has planned to do or to attack you with, but you can be prepared. And so like when you go into when I tell, like, you know, my fellow creatives, like, I believe in you, I really feel like sometimes that like that not ready thing, that they may not be ready. And honestly, like, when we answer, or when we step into the calling of God, is always greater than us, because God is greater, right? God is,
Yeah.
it's huge. So when the calling of God on our lives has to be bigger than us, so that we rely and partner with him. And so that this not ready thing, how do you tackle it? How do you balance? Maybe the word is, how do you balance, in the sense that this person, you want to believe in this person, but maybe this person is not that prepared for the opportunity, but yet you still want to give this opportunity to this person, because then this person has a space to fail, not in a, I'm not coming from a bad way, but to fail in a sense, to know like, oh, okay, this is the area that I can grow in. Because, you know, like people learn from pain. It's truth. It's truth that people learn from experiences, and then they will learn like, okay, this is the area I need to grow in, and not just say you're not ready. That's it, full stop. So in a way, how do you tackle that? How do you create a balance for not ready, or you know, be prepared, I believe in you, since you passed it.
Wow.
Sorry, I throw a bomb at you, but
it's cool. I'm just trying to think, like, yeah, because I mean, like, this idea of being ready, I think I mean, people talk about it often, right? Like, you prepare when it hits you, right? I mean, people talk about that, about a lot of things, like about, I don't know, parenthood, right? People talk about, like, you know, you prepare when it happens. So yeah, I this concept of being ready, I think it depends on, like, okay, so say I am the creative and the person told me that I'm not ready. Then I think, like, it would be realizing that I mean, it's just a person's opinion. That's one thing. Okay, that's one thing. But also, like, I think there's this thing about being a creative, right? Is that we are very passionate, and we take a lot of people tell creatives, don't take it personally, right? Don't take it personally, you know, like, if you critique your work. I mean, even designers, right? Don't take it personally, you know, it's just a work. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if it's possible to not take it personally, because something you create is personal, right? And I guess, but as you are creating, you are getting better. So if we get hung up on, you know, the first creation that we did, if we get hung on the first creation that we did, that someone said wasn't good, you know, or like you say, not ready to do it, right? Then we won't get the end point, right? We won't get the 101th variation. And that's the whole thing, like when I talked about TikTok, right, is to just try, right? So I think, yeah, there's definitely an element, being the creative, that even if, you know, you're not entirely ready, you still go for it, you know, you still find a way to get ready, because it is in your creation that you become ready. It is in, and so you become better. Like, if you wait until you you have everything sorted out, yeah, you won't ever write that Pulitzer Prize winning book, right? Or that I don't know, award winning song. You know, you gotta keep doing it until it comes, right? So I think as a creative, it's about, I don't know if it's about not taking it personally, but it's knowing that, okay, this thing was said, this critique was given, this feedback was given, but it doesn't necessarily mean all the other things that I'm hearing in my head, you know, like I'm lousy, or like, you know, I shouldn't be doing this in the first place, you know, or I need to like change my character, you know. These are actually none of the things that the person said, but the person expressed a certain opinion, and I can choose to take it or I can choose not to. And you said this very interesting thing about how sometimes when creatives feel like, you know, their voice is maybe not being heard, and then they go outside the church and then they find opportunities there, but it might not be a bad thing. You know, I think it might not be a bad thing. It might be fine. Like, it might be part of the journey that they are exploring and that they are on. And through that, you know, they learn beautiful things and that they grow through it. And of course, they come back, right? Right? Of course, I hope they come back and that they give to the body of Christ what they have learned. And they're not really coming back. They're always here, you know. Church is here all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's maybe it's just that journey that they walk on. And I think it's beautiful. I think it can be celebrated as long as, you know, they are covered and shepherded. So that's the second part, right? So if I came as a creative, like, you know, the person receiving the feedback, that's kind of like how I deal with it. But if I am the person giving the feedback, right, saying that, hey, you're not ready, right, then I think that my focus needs to be less on the being ready, as if like it's a grade, but it's more on the building of relationship with the person. And I think that is universal, you know. That's not just with regards to creative, but that's with regards to everything, right? Like, we all our lives are all changed because one person, you know, took the time to sit with us and to hear our story and to introduce us, you know, to Jesus, and introduce us to church. And we change lives the same way, right? We introduce them, and we take time, and we understand, and we empathize, and we introduce the person. So creatives, it's the same, right? So if I want to help this person, I feel like, hey, in a certain area in their life, they need to improve on something, then I need to take the time to be with them, to engage with their heart, to figure out like how they are feeling. And I think it would be lovely if I could, after sharing my feedback, I could hear what they have to say, and we could grow together and either work on this area together if that's needed, or even if it's not needed, it's just a dialogue, a discussion. What is healthy for the individual, what is healthy for the body of Christ, what is healthy for all of us to keep creating and keep serving and keep loving God together. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, it definitely
yeah, I think the main thing is like, it's not the end, you know, like there is more. You just got to keep going with creating, right? Until you get to the end, which will never happen. But like, to keep developing and to keep growing together in that community. And that's why what you said about safe space is so important. To trust one another enough to be real, to be candid with how we feel, to receive rejections, to grow through it, and to just keep creating things together. Yeah.
So good. Yeah, what a good reminder. Last question.
Okay.
What is one thing on your heart this season that you would like to encourage and inspire the church and even unchurched creatives out there? I don't know. Yeah.
First thought that came to my head is take care of yourself. I think because of COVID, right, and like I mean, recently been reading a little bit about like mental health issues. I think it's World Mental Health Awareness Day coming up, right? So I think it's about taking care of yourself. I think as creatives, we often feel a lot. I mean, if you see my poetry, you'll see that, right? We feel a lot. We feel a lot of pain. We feel our own pain. Sometimes we also feel others' pain, right? Like we feel the pain of those that are suffering, and what do you do with all this pain, right? So I think it is it's really important that we take care of ourselves, take care of our heart, realize that there is a journey that we are going through, and whether it's individually or even as a humanity, right? We are going through this global pandemic and this experience of isolation and this experience of loss, and we're all going through it together. And when we think of like in the past, like the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, right? Humanity went through these awful things, but humanity came out and became stronger and told beautiful stories about it. And creatives, we are storytellers, right? So there are many, many beautiful stories that we will be able to tell about this moment. Stories of people helping one another, stories of people loving one another, stories of people creating conferences in the middle of it, even when they are young and only have a young team, like you. We will have beautiful stories to tell. And but yeah, those stories only get told if we can make it through. So we have to take care of our heart, reach out to someone. If you're in a space of loneliness, anxiety is getting too much, reach out to someone. There's no shame in asking for professional help, asking for a friend's help. There's no shame in that. We all need each other. That's what we are here for. Right. So I think taking care of yourself and of course like we said, we are a church community, right? So knowing that Jesus himself suffered and he suffers with us and he knows our pain, and he did not deny the pain that we go through, but rather he walks through the pain with us. And I read this in this book a while back, and it always stuck with me, is that the beautiful thing about our God is that our God has wounds. And I thought like it was like very poetic and very like, yeah, our God has wounds and he knows the pain that we feel. And as we journey with him through it, we will come out the other side. And it will be beautiful. It will be beautiful. It will be great. It will be better than before, because that is what humanity is like.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you, Lei. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the great creative input that you had. And I mean, not just creative input, but input that I think would have challenged and championed people. I think there are certain things that you said tonight that also has championed me to prepare for my sermon, because I'll be preaching for the closing session.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
And so I'm still like learning. I'm still dissecting what God really wants me to share. And so like there are things that you said, like for example, the breath of God. So the breath of God is breathed into us and we are made in his image. So I'm combining that revelation with yours, and then things like that. So I need to go back and actually just sit down and process everything we shared tonight. And so thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me, and it's gonna be amazing. Bless you, Cyril. It's gonna be wonderful.
Thank you. All right. Have a great night. We'll catch up soon. All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.